Friday, October 26th. We're here. Nice little slate. 7-gamer? Am I crazy?
Yes, 7-gamer. Seems small for a Friday, but I like it.
It does. A nice little balance. Just enough that I can do a lot of research, not enough that I have to do a ton.
Exactly.
Yesterday went... Yeah, that's the sentence. It went...
Yeah, yesterday happened.
It certainly did.
Glad it's today.
I didn't have a lot of Monty Morris. He was the only guy to go double-digit value on FanDuel yesterday. So
yeah, didn't have any of him. Had a little bit of Corver, a little bit of Terrence Ross. Not enough to make a difference.
I had a healthy amount of small forward Larry Nance, so that made me happy.
Yeah, I went Westbrook over LeBron for ownership reasons, and that failed miserably.
Yes, it did. Not that LeBron was fantastic, but 5.4 at 12K on FanDuel is very nice.
Yeah, it had a lot more to do with Westbrook failing than LeBron doing anything.
Yeah, dude is... he's something else. Anybody else interesting from yesterday outside of Dame going bonkers?
Nurkic had another pretty big game.
Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
26 FanDuel points in 25 minutes.
Yeah, I think played 14 or 16 minutes over George Hill to close that game or something.
George Hill. What are you going to do? Let's talk 7-gamer here. Actually, let's talk something else first. We had a tweet to us, and this was a reminder, so I guess we should use that reminder. Projecting minutes each morning. I know that you do it manually and by hand. I also do it manually and by hand. And honestly, at least for me, the answer to how I project minutes each day is kind of boring. You just kind of have to dig into all of the rotations and pick a number and then put them all in a certain position so that you can make sure that everything you're doing is making sense and you're getting the right totals. Do you have anything specific that you do that makes it sound a little bit more glamorous than what I just simplified?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I go through Popcorn Machine every single day. And the big thing, and you mentioned it, is to just, I think, and it helps, for accuracy, just map out for every team every day, normally starting at center is the easiest because you have a guy that plays one position, and then just kind of work backward and make sure that you're covering every position, and keep in mind who the team's playing, because that's, sometimes you can run into spots like the last time the Clippers played the Rockets, where if you were just going off of previous games data, you would have projected Boban for 16 minutes and Harrell for 14. But once you thought about who they were matched up with, it's pretty easy to just give all of Boban's minutes to Montrezl Harrell. So keep in mind, spots like that. But keep in mind whatever you're playing. If you're playing tournaments, err on the side. I think it's important to err on the side of over projecting relevant players at the expense of role players. Giving some guy that I'm going to have in 0% of my lineups 18 minutes instead of 15, when it's either going to go to him or a starter that's going to go from 33 to 36. I just give it to that guy and then make a mental note to maybe cap his exposure a little bit if I'm getting too much. But for tournaments, I think it's important to just project to the ceiling. You don't want median projections in tournaments; they're useless.
Right.
And I think that's where you end up getting a pretty big edge with how every site now has good projection models. There's not really an edge in having projections anymore because everyone has access to good models. But naturally, if you're a site and you're offering projections, you're going to hedge minutes a bit, because if I have a feeling that someone plays 36 minutes and not 32, and I adjust that for everyone, it's going to make everyone play that guy a ton. And if I'm wrong, all of my subs just lost a bunch of money.
True.
And it's different than, being on a show and recommending someone as a core play, because when you do projections, you're literally kind of inputting yourself into that person's lineup. And so when you're wrong, you are really, really wrong. And so sites naturally end up just kind of under projecting a lot of people. And if you go more for precision than accuracy, I guess or whichever way that is supposed to work, precision and accuracy. If you go for whichever one is right instead of being in the ballpark, you end up with some pretty different projections on a lot of players, and you end up kind of naturally being contrarian without even trying.
Yeah. For the most part, and I assume you would agree, projecting minutes is relatively easy for most people.
Yeah.
you don't spend a lot of time looking at James Harden or Jimmy Butler, or like it's the 17 to like 27 minute guys that need the most look. You don't really care about anybody less than that because they're probably not going to pop up. And anybody more than that is a guy that's not going to be affected by rotations, generally speaking. So you're just trying to make sure, like, oh, this guy plays with this guy, or this guy hasn't been closing games, so we probably need to bring him down a bit. His window is limited.
Closing rotations is a really big thing to pay attention to, and then just always pay attention to foul trouble and game flow, because again, with so many people using basically like store-bought projections, sites a lot of times pull from the last game or two and just kind of project what happened. And it's pretty easy to figure out, okay, this guy played 32, played 16 minutes in the first half 2 games ago, and then he got in foul trouble. And then last game, it was a blowout. So he only played 26 minutes in both games. And now sites are going to project him for 26 minutes, and if the game stays competitive, he's going to play more.
Right. So I know it's probably a both complex and simplified answer, but that's sort of how minutes projections work.
Yeah, just pay closest attention to obviously rotations, but game flow, closing lineups, and previous blowouts to try and extrapolate like how many minutes someone plays in a competitive game.
Yeah. 7 gamer here. We have ownership projections out as well. I have the FanDuel ones in here now, so I will be referencing those throughout the show. Let's just get into it. First game up, Hornets and Bulls. Bulls now without Chris Dunn, Bobby Portis, Markkanen. They weren't exactly flush with talent to begin with, but it got a lot worse. 118.25 implied total for the Hornets, 108.75 for the Bulls. I'm going to have a lot of Hornets here. I don't think that will be a terribly shocking take. We're projecting Kemba Walker to be the chalkiest point guard on FanDuel. We're projecting... where did he go? Now I lost him. We're projecting Nick Batum to be the chalkiest small forward on the slate on FanDuel. And those are 2 guys that popped up a lot for me. So let's start with Kemba, 8,500 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DraftKings. Any reason you're not playing Kemba aside from ownership?
Possibly on DraftKings, and it has nothing to do with Kemba. It's just that I fully plan on having 2 of Giannis, Davis, and Chris Paul in probably every single lineup I make tonight. And that would probably leave me without much Kemba.
Okay. We'll be different there. But
especially if
we'll get to that.
Especially if he's going to end up being popular, because I'll take Chris Paul over him if ownership's similar.
I can say on FanDuel, Chris Paul 19%, Kemba Walker 27%. I would greatly prefer Kemba Walker in that scenario.
Yeah, I love Chris Paul.
First crunch I had this morning, I got a bagel for Chris Paul. Scares me a little bit. Just a little bit. But
we'll talk about it.
Sure.
Sounds like we have different opinions.
Well, there is the revenge narrative. Clippers.
There's also the no James Harden narrative.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's going to matter, but we'll talk about it. We'll dig into it. We'll check out NBA Wowie. Do all the good stuff. I just love Kemba here because it's the Bulls. And, I mean, who's going to stop him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no issue with Kemba.
Sure.
Yeah, at all.
Chalky Nick Batum, though, kind of scares me. 6,400 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. I think this is a spot where I won't exceed the public. I would much rather... I mean, if we have Nick Batum at 34% ownership on FanDuel and Melo at 7% at the exact same salary, I'm going to play more Melo. I'm going to hate myself for it, but it's Nick Batum, and that dude can be a ghost in games.
Oh yeah, he hasn't been aggressive at all this season either. Lofty and I were talking about it on the podcast. It's just such like a pain in the ass price right now, because we know that he has the upside to just absolutely blow it out of the water, but he just isn't the type of player that goes out there and does it very consistently. So you're left just like rostering him every single day until he does it, but everyone else is doing the same thing, and because the price tag's so cheap, so it's kind of like there's probably more of an edge to just taking your loss when it does happen, but having other guys on the slates where he goes out and, just doesn't contribute at all.
Yeah, like if Kemba were out, I'd have a lot more interest in a chalky Nick Batum, but nothing's different for the Hornets. So all we're doing is just playing a price game. And if he's going to have more ownership than everyone around him combined, I just have to go a different direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else on the Hornets that's standing out for you? Lamb, Monk?
I like Lamb at 4,800 on DraftKings. We still haven't really seen like a true ceiling game out of him, but I still think the plan going in is for him to play 30, 32 minutes most nights. He's really cheap. He also is a natural like leverage play to Batum, because if Lamb goes out and has a big game, I don't expect Batum to do it on the same night. So I like him actually for $800 less than Nick Batum on DraftKings. And then Marvin Williams has been playing, pretty decent minutes. He's still really cheap and a good matchup. Not a core play for me, but like I mentioned already, I will be going very heavy on stars and scrubs tonight, and he certainly fits in that range.
Yeah, definitely. If you think that in a general game, Malik Monk will play, 24, 25 minutes, 4,500 for him on FanDuel, in my opinion, is a really nice price point, because if this game does get out of hand, Monk is going to be on the floor, or at least I would expect him to be. So yeah, I like him in general, like as a potential upside play at a low salary shooting guard spot, but he has a lot of benefit if this game goes squirrely for the Bulls.
Yeah, like I'm projecting him for like 22 minutes, right, but he certainly has upside in that if he gets hot, he's going to stay on the floor, and if the game blows out, he's going to stay on the floor. So certainly will be kind of he's someone that I'll get my like actual projection for him, and then assuming he doesn't really end up in lineups, I'll probably bump his projection and then just like cap his exposure, because I certainly want him in tournament lineups, just like ones where I don't have anyone else from Charlotte.
Yeah. 7% projected ownership on FanDuel right now. I got 15 on my first crunch, and I think that's where I would want to be if he's going to be in the single digits.
Yeah, I was thinking 10 to 15, like just mentally was probably a pretty good range.
That's probably it for me on Charlotte.
So not to mention like everyone, but if you are,
it's not something we do here.
If you are mass entering, kind of the same, or not the same, but similar thought process for Monk, like Hernan Gomez at 3,700 certainly has a path to. He's a guy that's going to blow that salary out of the water if he gets minutes, and the minutes are obviously the issue. You're projecting like 16 or 17, but if you're, in my case, like if I'm light on Kemba Walker, I may as well play the point per minute Charlotte guys that would get blowout run, because the easiest way for my Kemba fade to work is the game to blow out. So I may as well just like maximize that, and Hernan Gomez along with Monk would be the two guys to do that.
Totally agree. Now we got to talk about the dude, Zach LaVine, 8,400 on FanDuel, 7,900 on DK. So I started looking at LaVine today on any website, I guess. It doesn't really matter. They're all going to have the same stats. But I went to Cleaning the Glass. This is insane. So I'm going to have no Zach LaVine again today. I can't even believe these numbers. Zach LaVine, effective field goal percentage this season, 63.6. His previous 4 years, it was 46, 51, 54, and 44. So shooting a little bit above himself. 65%.
Well, you get a lot of open looks when you play alongside guys like Payne.
Exactly. He's shooting 47% of his shots at the rim. That's 6% higher than last year and 10 to 15% higher than it's ever been. And even more interesting than that, he's drawn shooting fouls on 18% of his possessions. That's a 95th percentile mark for wings. Normally, he was in like the 8 to 10 range. So everything is coming up roses for him. And I just can't do it now that his price is up.
So I think there would be two. I think the different way to look at that would be that he is attacking the basket more, which should lead to a higher shooting percentage and more fouls. So like potentially it's like I see your side of it for sure, where like it seems like he is probably going to come back to earth, but then the other side would be that he potentially, this is like sustainable.
Yeah, no, I don't think his shot selection is unsustainable, but I don't think that he's going to shoot 65% from two any
Right,
longer.
yeah. But I would expect
or 74% at the rim instead of his normal 60%.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say that, like, but his if he is taking a much higher percentage of shots at the rim, you would expect him to outperform his previous field goal percentages.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that he is probably better now than he was previously, but he's not.
Would you say he's a top 5 shooting guard?
I would not. In fantasy, maybe.
I mean, yeah, that's arguable.
Yeah. But there is no. Honestly, there's probably no path for Zach LaVine to be a top 5 shooting guard in the NBA in terms of like general basketball.
Completely learn how to play defense?
Yeah. It's just. He would have to do the exact opposite of everything he's ever done on the defensive end.
Right.
He just couldn't be there. Offensively, I have no problem admitting it.
Okay, yeah. So Zach LaVine,
I'll have none. Let's just get that out of the way.
I kind of assume for the same reason I don't have Kemba, I won't have much. I don't have a problem with him. I think that he has upside and everything, but I'm gonna prioritize Chris Paul over Zach LaVine.
As you should.
I
I'd rather have Bradley Beal, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I can get there.
Drew Holiday is $600 cheaper than Zach LaVine on FanDuel.
That seems like a good play.
Yeah, I mean he's chalk, but either way, I can't do LaVine. Jabari Parker, on the other hand, 7,000 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DK. He's got to be crazy popular today, right? They're running out of bodies.
Yeah, he has to be. He has to play minutes here.
Yeah, I've got him in for 33 right now.
Yeah,
the only reason he doesn't play 33 is foul trouble or they're down by 40.
Yeah, I think 33 might even be low.
I agree. It won't matter at 5,500. You can project him for anything above 30, and he's going to pop up constantly.
Right. Yeah. 74 minutes this year without Portis or Don on the floor, 26.1% usage rate.
It's a no-brainer play. Now, on FanDuel, it's a little bit scarier. 7K is a real price, and he's projected to be owned 20%. I barely got him at that 7K number. I'll want to have more than just a flyer because of how this team sort of works offensively, but 5,500 on DK, he should be one of the more popular guys of the day.
Yeah. He is one-dimensional and inconsistent enough that if he's like exorbitantly owned, I don't mind pivoting to some guys, but I still just expect that I'll have a lot of him.
Yeah. Any interest in Payne or Holiday or Wendell Carter at 4,300 is a really ridiculous price point on DraftKings. He's 6,000 on FanDuel at power forward, so I don't like him there, but is that somebody you would want to go to on DK?
Yeah, he lost power forward eligibility, which is annoying, but still 4,300. We haven't seen a really productive game from him yet, but he's still not been killing you, putting up 21, 22 points. Barring foul trouble, he should be expected to play 30 to 32 minutes, and that's really nice at that price tag. You can say the same for Cameron Payne. He was 6% owned in his last game. I expect that to be much higher after he went out and put up 40 points. So if I'm playing, like 150 lineups on DraftKings, I certainly will have plenty of Payne as a value play. If I were hand making, 5 to 10, I think assuming Payne does project for high ownership, there are a lot of pivots on DraftKings in that same price range that I think are similar point per minute players and are going to play plenty of minutes that you can go to. But I think that he's, a perfectly fine play. I think he plays around 30, 32 minutes again, as long as he stays out of foul trouble. And then Justin Holiday sucks and does nothing really on the floor, but he probably plays like 37 minutes tonight. So he's certainly viable.
Payne, 18% projected ownership right now in our numbers. I can't imagine wanting to be over that number on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll probably end up around like 20.
Yeah, I think that's a completely reasonable spot to be.
Yeah, because just as a brief aside, guys that we'll end up talking about, but just at that price point, you have Payne, you have Malcolm Brogdon, you have Pat Beverly, and that's just like the point guard position. And there's other positions that you can pretty easily get to. So it's not, while I do like Payne and I like the opportunity, it's not like he's just head and shoulders above everyone around them.
Oh, without question. It's just an opportunity thing.
Right.
There's basically no one that can take his opportunity from him tonight. And that creates what should be a high floor, or at least a high theoretical floor.
Right.
He might not have it because he blows, but that's the process you would go to. And
there's a path here. There's a path to like 26 to 28 minutes for Chandler Hutchison.
Yeah, yes, there is. I don't know what to do with that dude.
Yeah, like I'm not sure that he gets there since we saw Blakeney kind of reprise his role in the rotation last game, but there's certainly a path to it because we had seen 2 games ago Hutchison played every single minute that Levine or Holiday was not on the floor. And now with Portis being out, it's going to just kind of screw up the rotations a little bit to where I think there's more minutes available. So if they wanted to, you could see Hutchison, I think, play like 26. I would project him around 20.
Yeah, I have him at 19 right now. That could go higher, but he'd be a guy that I have no problem punting with on FanDuel. Minimum salary.
Right. You can just drop him.
Yep. Worst case scenario, he's just the guy that you don't use.
Yeah, and best case, he goes out there and gets like garbage time and plays like 32 minutes.
Yeah. Speaking of garbage time, this one should have a lot of it. New York Knicks hosting the Golden State Warriors. Knicks 108.75, implied total Warriors 120.75. 12-point favorites in New York. I'd love to see this line if this was in Golden State. It would be really bad. I mean, they'd be sitting Curry and Durant probably.
Yeah.
We'll start on the Knicks side. Cantor 7,700 on FanDuel, 6,900 on DraftKings. I will have 0.
Yep.
Tim Hardaway. Ooh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say just can't do it because he has been run off the floor by Golden State because of his terrible pick and roll defense,
For like
basically.
a decade.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Tim Hardaway, 6,700 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DK. I don't like it, but this strikes me as the type of game where he could shoot 30 times.
Absolutely. He has to.
Yeah. What do we have his ownership at? I assume it's got to be very low. Yeah, 1% on DK. 8% on FanDuel. I mean, tournament only, he might shoot every time. He's also bad.
Yeah.
Trey Burke, 5,500 on FanDuel, 5,300. I don't want anybody on the Knicks unless you really want to play Dotson for 4,200 on DraftKings.
Which I don't. I think that obviously there can be blowout round again today where we get a good Dotson game, but that he's kind of the example of someone that I think is being overprojected at least early today because of how the last couple of games went. Ignoring context, because 2 games ago he got extra minutes because Ron Baker split his forehead open and it screwed up the entire rotation. So Dotson played a ton basically to keep everyone else in their roles. Dotson came in and just played like a huge stretch. And then last game he was the first sub in for Trey Burke before Baker, which is good to see if you like Dotson. But again, he picked up 4 extra minutes at the end of the first half because Frank Ntilikina picked up his second or third foul. So he went from 11 and a half first half minutes to like 15 and a half. If you just kind of extrapolate out those first half minutes, you're looking at 22, 23 minutes. And then even in the second half, he came in early because Trey Burke was playing awful, which it happens, but it's not something that I'm going to project to happen every night. And then he played almost the entire fourth quarter in a blowout. So like I'm seeing him projected for 28, 29 minutes. And I think that if you're going to project a competitive game, which I always do, 22 or 23 is where I'm at for Dotson.
Okay, I'm a little bit higher than I have 26 right now. But I see where you're going with it. Sorry, Ron Baker's forehead. Question in the chat. I feel like I'm going to get this every day now moving forward. Why are the projections different in Fantasy Cruncher from the projections that I post? In theory, they're not. If you look in the projections column, they're all the same. But what I put into Fantasy Cruncher dictates what comes out of Fantasy Cruncher. And now that FanDuel drops your lowest score, I need to prioritize the top end more. So I boost high projections, in theory high projections, so that I can get more of those guys. Otherwise, it's just a sea of bad construction for the way FanDuel works now. I'll get very little, 35 to 4,000 type guys without making manual adjustments. So I'm still projecting everybody the exact same, but I'm adjusting fantasy cruncher's output. And that's something that I've done forever. You're like, it's not about an optimal lineup based on projections. That's
right. Yeah, I use groups to do it normally, but just the same thing. Like, you're not trying to get your lineup that's projected to score 4 more points than your lineup that has 20 extra points of ceiling.
right. I need more of the top end. Okay, enough about the Knicks. Let's go to the Warriors, and this one's just as tough. The only intriguing part of this is the narrative. Kevin Durant, 9,900 on FanDuel, 10,100 on DK. Is this his, hey guys, I'll see you in a year game?
I can't get to Durant just because of Giannis and Brow at the forward positions.
I like Durant on FanDuel at 9,900.
How much is Giannis?
13 maybe, or 12.5, something like that. Let me get to it quick. Giannis is 12.3, Durant 9.9.
I think I'd still take Giannis, but I can see Durant.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot different on DK than it is on FanDuel. Giannis $600 cheaper on DraftKings. Durant $200 more expensive.
Yeah. I think, on DraftKings, Durant would be like my least favorite. Like, I could certainly see one-offing Steph Curry because we know what he can do, like just by himself. I can see going with like Draymond or Clay and expecting, fourth quarter run regardless of the scoreboard, and they're cheap enough that they can, outperform their price tags pretty easily. Durant's the one where he doesn't normally go out there and have like Steph games where he just takes over, and becomes the entire offense. And he plays the same position as my 2 favorite plays on the slate. So he's the one that I see having the hardest time getting to.
Yeah, I'm going narrative street on this one. He's gonna go ham in Madison Square Garden right after Alex Osimo Baker went ham in MSG last night. True story. I have no idea if that's a true story. Give me some Durant. I don't have a problem getting to Curry, but I've been on other point guards, particularly Kemba. So look, it's Steph Curry. I'm never going to be like, no, it's probably a bad spot, but 9,900 on FanDuel, 10,200 on DK. He's just not a guy I'm prioritizing.
Agreed.
I like it. Any Draymond or Clay for you?
I'll mix them in a little bit probably, but not prioritizing them.
Same. Iguodala, Looney, and any punts here that you want? Looney for me is probably the only guy.
Yeah, I don't mind Looney, I guess. I don't intend on playing a lot of him, but he can get. I mean, he's at least can be productive when he's on the floor and he's cheap. So I'm sure I'll have him, at least in a small percentage of lineups.
Yeah, 3,700 on FanDuel. Again, he's a guy that I end up using a lot as a potential punt, and this is no different. He could get some additional run if possible. I don't know. It's Knicks Warriors. I mean, how excited can you possibly be?
Yeah.
There's no Porzingis. Or talent, really.
Right.
Just in general. Raptors and Mavs. This could be bad. Raptors 118.5 implied total. Dallas 107. 11.5 point favorites for the Raptors at home. Kawhi Leonard 9,800 on FanDuel, 9,300 on DK. I'm going to be going back to Kawhi again. I have to. Can't help it. He's too good.
So I mentioned this on the podcast. Kawhi's the kind of guy that I think I'm going to end up underweight on pretty much every slate this year. And it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the pace of the NBA now, with how many points there are, that are being scored on a nightly basis. I have a hard time getting to the guys in this price range where you have Kawhi who has, he can go out there and score like 60 at 9K, which obviously is really good. But you have guys in, around 7K, 7,500 that can go out there and score 50 to 55.
Yeah.
And then you have the top tier guys like Davis and Giannis that legitimately can score 100. And so it's like, it kind of makes his 60 useless to me. Like, I can get close for a lot less and I can get a lot more for a little bit more. So I just keep ending up being underweight on, the guys in this like $8,500 to $9,500 price range.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense to me. I'm really surprised at how much he's been shooting.
Yeah.
22, 23, 25. Those are three
Yeah.
shot totals in games. And that's what's really appealing, because if he gets one of those defensive games where he gets a boatload of steals and blocks, like that's where it's going to add up. The fact that he's so active defensively, particularly on FanDuel where steals and blocks are worth 3 and not 2.
Right.
That shit adds up real quick.
Yeah, his usage has been phenomenal this year.
Yeah. And I don't really see that changing all that much. And whether or not Harrison Barnes plays tonight, it's not stopping me from thinking Kawhi is going to roast these fools.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
We have him projected for 20% ownership on FanDuel. Without question, I'll be above that. Team Kawhi. I tried my best. That was mostly just a Lewis Skolnick from Revenge of the Nerds laughing, not Kawhi, but whatever. Any Kyle Lowry for you? 8,500 FanDuel, 7,800 DK. It's not appealing to me.
Yeah, probably not much. I don't mind the spot, but again, it's just that I'm prioritizing other guys, and it's going to make it really tough for me to get into that price range.
I can't imagine wanting Kyle Lowry over Kemba Walker tonight at the exact same price on FanDuel.
No, me neither.
Good to know.
I have some interest in Valanciunas.
As do I. He's the next name up on the list. 5,800 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DK. The Mavs have DeAndre Jordan, which makes me think that we'll see more Valanciunas. That's really all that it is in my head.
Yeah, he's a monster point per minute producer who has very inconsistent minutes, and DeAndre Jordan absolutely is a guy that I would expect Valanciunas to play against. And then also, I'm partially convinced that Nick Nurse isn't even factoring in matchups, and he's just starting Ibaka and Valanciunas in alternate games. But this would be Valanciunas' day anyway. So I'm pretty confident Valanciunas starts this game, and he's cheap enough that if I'm going to get like 22 to 24 minutes out of Valanciunas, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that could easily turn into 44 fantasy points. The dude, just when it goes, man. All of a sudden you look up and it's like, oh, Valanciunas is 12 and 8 in the first 6 minutes.
Right.
Like, he did that a couple times last year where I was like, I don't even get that many. Like, if someone else shot, they missed, he got it, he put it back in. It was like lather, rinse, repeat over and over and over again, which I guess is what lather, rinse, repeat means.
I just pulled up his games against DeAndre going back to the start of the 2016-17 season. 4 matchups, 15 points, 8 rebounds in 29 minutes, 21 and 12 in 32, 23 and 15 in 28, 16 and 10 in 20.
Yeah.
So, he's been very productive as we would expect.
Makes perfect sense to me. After that, we're looking at Ibaka, Danny Green, Siakam. I don't know. If we think that Danny Green's a different person, 4,900 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DK, fine.
I'm sure I'll have some Green and some Siakam.
Yeah. Just
because they're really cheap, and if things go right, they can get me 25, 30 points, but they're certainly not going to be core plays.
No, not at all. Anybody else on Toronto you want to touch on? Can't imagine.
I don't think so. It's just worth pointing out that Ibaka is exclusively playing center. So his minutes, when you do minutes projections, that's the kind of thing you should pay attention to. Him and Valanciunas should equal 48 minutes.
Yeah, or slightly less on the off chance that they get really weird and have Siakam 5 minutes with like OG at the 4 or something.
Yeah, just don't go in and, Ibaka probably plays 30, but this is a good Valanciunas matchup, so I think Valanciunas can get 28. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right. Mavs side here. DeAndre Jordan, 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,200 on DK. I don't want DeAndre Jordan here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not like opposed to him, but especially center's not really that strong on this slate. So I'm not opposed to him, but it's just that on DraftKings, I can play Anthony Davis at center. I have Wendell Carter for cheaper. I have Valanciunas that we just talked about. I don't see myself going to much DeAndre.
There's only one center I want on FanDuel tonight. We didn't talk about him yet, but we will. And let me tell you what, I'm going to hate myself for the entire slate.
Clint Capella?
No, but Clint Capella, very popular on FanDuel. 32% expected ownership. He is the chalk.
Brooke, like,
He is not my chalk.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns, 8,500 on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's 8K on DraftKings.
Yep. I'm gonna have 60% Karl Anthony Towns tonight. And
what can go wrong?
It's gonna make me super duper sick to my stomach. Yeah, I'm gonna have the antacid. Dennis Smith, 6,400 on FanDuel, 6,000 on DK. Not a spot that I'm looking for.
I mean, I guess the argument for him would be that Luka probably sees Kawhi.
Yeah, that's not going to be fun for him.
No, but yeah, I don't know. I'll probably, I would guess I end up with some Dennis Smith. Maybe it's tough because he's only a point guard now. Luka's only a point guard again. Good job, DraftKings. You had it right for literally one slate. But yeah, and Barnes coming back just messes up this rotation a bit too.
That's the next thing we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes. How much does he play? I went 32 minutes. It makes me think I'm heavy and he plays like 28. But he's Harrison Barnes and he plays a lot of minutes generally.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you discount Harrison Barnes, you're going from like 37 to 30.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping we get some word about how that's going to shake out or if that shakes out. So
luckily he's a guy that
if he's playing 32 minutes at 5,300 on FanDuel, I will have an overwhelming amount of Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, that's a really cheap price tag. He's 57 on DraftKings, and it's just like I don't think I need to go there.
Yeah, 5,300 for a FanDuel small forward is. Yeah. Let's see who else is in his range. Like, I mean, nobody. $500 above him is B Jelly. I would much rather have Barnes if we have minutes confirmed. Because I mean, honestly, I would just be taking Bielitsa off the floor for noted stud Marvin Bagley. I love that you started shaking your head before I even got it out. Oh God. Yeah, he played per minute. He was great from Wednesday night. He only played 22 of those minutes things that we're talking about, though.
Yeah.
So you nailed that one. Makes me look like a dick.
I kind of like him tonight. We'll get there, but
I can't wait. Eton Moore is $700 cheaper than Harrison Barnes or Hazonia. So like Barnes is on an island in the mid fives, and I'm just gonna go hang out on that island. It's probably relatively nice.
Yeah, certainly a better FanDuel play than DraftKings play.
Yeah, no Luka for me. 74 on FanDuel, 68 on DK.
Yeah, keep an eye on JJ Barea news. He's questionable. If he's out, you could see Jalen Brunson at 3,200 play a pretty big role tonight.
I like that call. Does that affect anybody? I don't have any interest in Wes Matthews now that Barnes is back. Let's say Barea is out, though. Are there any other benefits besides Brunson?
Maybe a couple extra minutes for Dennis Smith, but I think Brunson's the one that would clearly go from a guy that I'm not interested in to a guy that I am interested in.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for this game.
Plus, you would get blowout run.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Which, like, yeah, I mean, and we've talked about it. Like, I don't factor blowouts into my projections at all, but I do at least keep in mind, like, okay, that makes this guy a little bit safer.
Toronto on the season, second, their offense, second in effective field goal percentage. Dallas's defense, dead last.
So Dallas is going to win by like 10.
Yeah, that's usually how this show works. All right, time to talk about this ridiculous team for tonight. The Houston Rockets hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. Rockets 110.25 implied total. Clippers 107.25. Clippers lowest implied total of the slate. Rockets like also really low, which I don't know, surprises me. I guess
has the lowest total on a like it's so weird. Rockets and Clippers has the lowest total on a slate that has like Timberwolves, Bucks, and Wizards, Kings. Like the NBA is just so weird right now.
Yeah, well, I can see why a total is low when the bottom three guys that I have projected for the Rockets are named Michael Carter-Williams, Gerald Green, and Marquise Chris, who might as well be three of the exact same person in different bodies.
Yeah.
So we got to start with Chris Paul. 9,700 on FanDuel, 9,200 on DraftKings. He is a guy that I am not really looking at. He's a guy that you are doing the opposite of. So the floor is yours. Tell me why we should have Chris Paul today.
He's played 991 minutes without James Harden on the floor since last season. 31.3% usage rate, 53.5% assist percentage, 1.62 DraftKings points per minute. If you just take his 1.6 points by 36 minutes, you're looking at like a 56, 57 point projection. And that's, it's obviously not factoring anything in, but just the point that I think he's way underpriced at 92.
Yeah, I'm pulling up all of the NBA Wowie stuff right now. I'm going to pop it into my... How many people played for the Rockets in the past year and month? Dude. Oh my God. Gary Clark.
He's actually on there now.
Yeah, I'm trying to... Aaron Jackson, Markel Brown, Onowaku, Troy Williams, RJ Hunter, Bobby Brown, Chris Paul's boy. Oh my God. They might have had new edition Bobby Brown play for them with the amount of guys on here. Tim Quarterman, Chris Spags' boy. Have you ever heard that? You ever hear that story?
No.
We're on a live stream last week or two of the season. Chris is talking up Tim Quarterman because we were expecting him to get some run. And as he's talking about Tim Quarterman, news pops on Twitter that they released him. Full on released him to sign Aaron Jackson, maybe. So like he went from like one of Chris's essentially core plays for that particular day to not even being in the league any longer. It was like just seeing it all unravel while we were live was amazing timing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, just not even like, Tim Quarterman's not starting tonight. He's like, Tim Quarterman will never be here again.
So I quickly updated my Chris Paul numbers, and I have him at 55.5 DraftKings points. Or no, sorry, I have him at...
Got to be higher than that.
I was on the wrong page. Damn it.
I have him... well, maybe it's not, because I have him at 44, so that's...
I have him at 57.6 DraftKings.
Okay. All right, I'm popping in the NBA Wowie. Chris Paul with James Harden off the floor, a net change to his points per minute, fantasy points per minute, 17%. 1.62 FanDuel points. That is a healthy number.
Rebounding goes up, assists go up, usage goes up.
What's his usage?
Probably go up a little bit. What'd you say?
Yeah, I want to see what his usage was.
31.
31.7. All right, I'll give him a little bit of a boost there. Goes up a little bit more than I would have expected.
Yeah, he becomes a lot more productive, and Clint Capella becomes a lot less productive.
It scares me. It just scares me. I don't know why, but it does. I think the team sucks, and that's why I'm nervous about it. Because it's Melo and PJ Tucker, and there's no one else good. Like, where does Chris Paul get to on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, Melo, I guess, is the one thing. Like, they didn't have him last year when most of these numbers were accumulated. So if you wanted to put Chris Paul's usage a little bit lower to account for playing alongside Melo a little bit, but I think it still is going to be a really good spot.
I don't trust this team. They are really bad right now, and like having to play Gerald Green and MCW and Marquise, like that is not going to help Chris Paul. It's going to be so congested. He's got to have a plus shooting night to me.
I mean, still, he's going to be out there with guys that can still space the floor.
Where are they?
Gerald Green, Melo, Gordon, Tucker.
I think you'll let Gerald Green just let it sail.
I mean, I'm playing a bunch of Gerald Green, but
oh my,
yeah.
I'm going to be happily wrong to not be on a lot of Chris Paul. I will absolutely be under the field because I don't trust this Rockets team.
Yeah, one of us is going to have a good night.
yeah, for sure. I just see too much downside if his ownership creeps high. Like if he's, what do we have him at right now? DK, okay, 14%. I don't have a problem having 14% of Chris Paul.
Yeah.
He's at 19 on FanDuel. I expect that number to be higher than that as we get closer to lock. I don't want to have that much. But 14% on DK, worth the flyer. The flyer on Chris Paul. What am I saying? All right, yeah, we're split here. Oh, God. I'm going to regret the shit out of this one when he drops 70.
Yeah, the only way I see me getting off Chris Paul is if he ends up like being projected for like 40-something percent ownership, then I'll go elsewhere.
I get it. Look, all of it makes sense. I think Carmelo Anthony ruins this.
I'm always on board with Carmelo Anthony ruining things.
Yeah. Clint Capella, any love? 8,100 on FanDuel, 6,700 on DK. Clint Capella, the chalk center.
Not a ton. I think he's fine, especially on DraftKings. I think the price tag's still pretty cheap, but not having James Harden does affect him. His usage goes down. He goes last year with Harden on and Chris Paul off. He averaged 1.3 DraftKings points per minute. With Paul on and Harden off, he averaged 1.1. And he just has that. He has that connection with Harden in the pick and roll that makes him, so productive. And not having that with Chris Paul, obviously Paul can still get him, passes, and he's still probably going to have a good game. But I think it does lower his expectation a little bit. And if he's going to be popular, then I'll pivot elsewhere.
I don't understand why he's the chalk center.
Yeah, probably because center sucks and he's had a couple of good games.
And he's not just the chalk center. 32 on FanDuel, 32% Capella, 23% Towns, no one else above 8. Now, I get it. There are not a lot of options out there, but I don't see why I would want to have a third of my lineups have Clint Capella in them.
Yeah. If James Harden, I think it's close. I mean, if James Harden was in and Paul was out, I would be smashing Capella ownership.
Do you want to smash him at the 53% projected ownership we have him on DraftKings?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now, 6,700, different price point.
Yeah.
But, no, I don't. He's Clint Capella. He fails a lot. I'm not saying fade him, but
yeah,
don't play 50%.
I will have him in less than half my lineups.
Yeah. I will have him in less than half of the public. I got 2%. I just love Karl Anthony Towns on FanDuel tonight. God, Butler's going to make him cry on the court. Eric Gordon. Melo. Melo, you have to play, right? 4,900 on DK?
Yeah. It's pretty tough not to like him. I mean, the minutes are going to be there. He's going to shoot.
I mean, even if he plays poorly, he should get to value.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I like Melo. I like Gerald Green. Minutes are there. Price tag's really cheap. Unlike Michael Carter-Williams, he actually contributes something positive to a team.
Yeah.
So,
MCW at 4,300 on FanDuel. I got a lot of him on my first crunch. I will not let that happen again.
Yeah.
Especially with it being Chris Paul on the floor. But, I will have a little bit just because this game could be a track meet. I don't know why the total is so low.
I might have 5% maybe.
Yeah, 3,600 on DK is not bad. But like you said, Gerald Green, 3,400 on DraftKings. He's chalk, and he has to be.
Yeah, and Green is guard forward eligibility.
Oh, God. No PJ Tucker for me, though.
Yeah, probably not. It's just a kind of gross price point on PJ Tucker. I can get the same upside from Gerald Green for $1,000 less. I can get more upside from Carmelo for $500 more.
Yeah. All righty. Lion is drawn on the sand. In the sand, on the sand, whatever. We should make a Chris Paul bet.
Okay.
I don't know what that bet is or what number we want to put that at. We'll think about it.
Yep.
We'll tweet it out. You guys could all, we'll put out a Twitter poll who's going to win whatever the bet is. And everybody can agree with me. To the Clippers we go. I'm going to regret this one too. Any Tobias Harris for you? 7,700 FanDuel, 7,300 DK. To me, he's just too expensive.
Yeah, probably not. It's just really tough to get there. It's not that I don't like the price tag on him. I think it's perfectly reasonable. It's just that compared to other guys and at the same position and other positions, I like other guys more.
Okay. Gallinari, 6,900 on FanDuel, 6,400 on DK. Pretty much the same story for me. I don't really need him.
I'm just priced out of the mid range.
Yeah, same. Now, unless we're counting him in the mid range, this is one spot where I'm not priced out. I don't trust him, but Lou Williams, 5,300 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK. I'm going to get a lot of Lou Williams again, and I don't know what to do about that. Can you talk me out of it or make me feel better about having it? One of the two.
No, he's been shooting bad, like compared to career numbers. His price tag's down. He closed over a center last game, which they certainly can do again here if they choose. I like Lou Williams.
Last two games, 15 shot attempts, 16 shot attempts, 0 for 9 from 3 in both of those games. His price is now 5,300. He was 6,900 to start this season. He's just like, he's gonna catch fire at some point in time. If he keeps getting to the line and can just get one of these threes to fall, he might be able to get some momentum. And he's the type of guy that a little bit of momentum is going to like put a rocket under his ass.
He's going to have 40-point games this year.
Yeah, of course. And when he does, like, they're not bringing him off the floor when he's on a heater either.
Right. Yep.
Montrezl Harrell, 5,400 on FanDuel, 4,600 on DK.
Yes, please.
Yep.
I don't expect him to be sneaky like he was the last time these teams played, but it's still a good spot where Boban's not going to be able to be on the floor, and you're going to get at least 23, 24 minutes out of Harrell at a still really cheap price tag.
See what we have him ownership-wise on DK. Oh, God. You're going to have a lot of this dude if he's at this number. What do you think we have? Well, I already led you down that road. 3% Harrell ownership.
There's no way. He was 3% in this spot last time when everyone thought Boban was playing 16 minutes. Granted, that was a 4-game slate.
Yeah.
He'll be chalk. I can't imagine he's not chalk.
Capella at 6,700 makes it a little weird, you know?
Yeah, but he's Harrell's a forward too.
That'll do it. That'll help. Pat Bev.
Yes.
That was quick. 4,700 on DK. You would really love him on FanDuel then.
What is he there?
46.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I played him a bunch last slate and it went really. I played him in cash last slate and got like 40 points from him. It was nice. But he's splitting minutes with Gilgeous-Alexander, which makes his minutes risky. But we've pretty consistently seen like 23 to 24 minutes in 3 quarters from him. And he's going to close, some games when the second unit doesn't get hot, or Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't get hot or whatever. He played 27 minutes last game, and he dealt with foul trouble in the third quarter. I think that he can get to, like 30 minutes and, 28, 30 minutes. And he's going to be needed defensively against Chris Paul, which makes me like him a little bit more. He's cheap, and I think he goes under-owned because people are overvaluing Gilgeous-Alexander because of a couple of weird rotations for the Clippers in their first couple of games. I think the normal projection for Gilgeous-Alexander is 20 to 22 minutes, and the rest going to Beverly, which gives you 26 to 28 minutes of a $4,700 point guard who picks up defensive stats.
What is the relationship between Doc and Paul? It was like testy by the end, right?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Because I was going to say, like, if Doc thinks Chris Paul's a dick, he's going to put Pat Beverly on him for a while because Pat Beverly is like the embodiment of an asshole on the court.
Yeah. I'll never forget Lonzo's first game when Beverly he
was in his jersey.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Just talking shit to him for like 25 minutes. It was so, oh my God. You can see it on Lonzo's face like, God, is this shit over?
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back and watch that. But he put on a clinic.
Yep.
Anybody else on this squad?
I'll have some Gilgeous-Alexander in non-Beverly lineups because those two play 48 minutes. So there's going to be some games where Gilgeous-Alexander's on the high end.
Yep. I completely agree.
Are you playing any Avery Bradley?
More than I want to. 5%. But
like the minutes are there. He's going to run into a good game once in a while.
There was a time 24 months ago where Avery Bradley was looking at like a 4-year, $80 million contract.
Yeah.
And now
he feels like a fringe NBA player.
And shit, like it was. They're gonna. I thought he was gonna get like the KCP last year deal with the Sixers or something, $25 million. Nah. He was like the the guy that was going to be the new shooting guard for the Sixers, and then now it's whatever Markelle Fultz is.
Yeah, I think I'd still take Avery Bradley.
That
was only like partially a joke.
I mean, he'd be really good on the Sixers.
Yeah.
If he understood what he needed to do. Alrighty, time to do it. Timberwolves and Bucks. 116.25 for the Timberwolves, 117.75 for the Bucks. Karl Anthony Towns, 8,500 on FanDuel, 8,000 on DraftKings. He's my favorite play of the day.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Like he's still talented enough that he has a ceiling, and the price tag has come down so much that as much as we want to bash on him and talk about how bad he's playing, he's still most nights going to go out there and give you somewhere around 40, where it's not great, but it doesn't kill you. But he has that upside that you would think he reaches eventually. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think I'll end up with that much just because of prioritizing Chris Paul and Giannis and Davis, but there's no problem there for me.
Price to start the season, $10K. It was $9,200 in his last game, now down another $700 to $8,500. He took 17 shots in 35 minutes against Toronto. Like, it's, yeah. I mean, I want him to take more than that even, but he's still involved. His body language is terrible. But if they're going to price him down to $8,500, who guards Towns on Milwaukee?
Brook Lopez.
Okay. At best, they put Giannis on him, right? Or at worst, they put Giannis on him, right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes Middleton on Butler.
Yeah.
So they might do that anyway. Well, no, so then Brook Lopez is guarding what? Taj Gibson?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Shit. Don't play Taj Gibson then, Tibbs. Do whatever you can to get
Anthony Collins.
Yeah, I mean, that's the play right there for Minnesota. Ooh, should we be liking Anthony Tolliver tonight?
I mean,
this is the spot to be playing him.
I guess. It's just I still don't know. Even if Tolliver gets a minutes boost, how many minutes does he play?
I don't know. More. Well, he'd be playing more if I were simming this game or playing it on NBA 2K.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm just thinking like the first couple of games of the season, Taj Gibson only played 28 minutes, and it's because Tolliver played like the entire second quarter, but Tolliver was still only playing 20 minutes.
Antoine Murphy in chat. Giannis is not guarding Towns. Okay, if Giannis isn't guarding Towns, who's he guarding? There's only two answers. He's either guarding Towns or he's guarding Jimmy Butler, because they're certainly not putting him on Taj Gibson. So those are the only two options. And if he's not guarding Towns and he's guarding Butler, then Karl Anthony Towns is going to dominate this basketball game.
If he wants to.
Sure, that's a good point. I'm going to have 60% Karl Anthony Towns tonight. I'm just letting everybody know now. And then I'm going to drive to Minnesota tonight at, let's see, I should be able to get in my car around, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock. At that point in time, I should know that Towns boned me. And I'm coming for you, Towns. That's it. Jimmy Butler, 9,400 on FanDuel, 8,600 on DraftKings. I think he's a little too expensive for me.
On DraftKings? Oh, yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. He kind of falls into that Kawhi range for me, but not even with the ceiling that Kawhi has. So
he's the most expensive shooting guard on FanDuel by $1,000.
Yeah, it just doesn't really seem necessary.
Yeah, like I've already gone on my Zach LaVine rant, but I'd rather have Zach LaVine at 8,400.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jeff Teague, Andrew Wiggins, Derrick Rose. Do you have any interest in anybody else in Wolves here?
No.
Okay. All right. Floor is yours again. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 12-3 on FanDuel, 11-7 on DK. I think I actually did a pretty decent job of saying his last name there. How much Giannis you want?
A ton. He's he's one of the three guys that I'm really, really prioritizing on this slate. I think him and Davis are just in a class of their own as far as DFS upside and DFS production this season because of their respective roles, their roles on their respective teams, and their ability to do everything. But Giannis, like on this Milwaukee team, production is so concentrated to Giannis, Middleton, Bledsoe, and then Giannis is getting such a high percentage of that production. You have the monster rebounding percentage, which I expect to continue. I think that Brook Lopez being there helps that because he's perfectly happy to box his guy out and let Giannis grab the rebound and start running. So I fully expect him to keep piling up these monster rebounding games. I have his current assist percentage at like 32% being due for some regression. I have his expected assist percentage being 23 or 24%. But you have to keep in mind too that we probably should expect him to be more efficient than normal on his assists because he does a good job of drawing the defense to him and then dishing it out to a wide open guy or kind of just handing it off to someone under the basket. So I think projecting him for like a 27 or 28% assist percentage is perfectly reasonable. And then so far this year, he has a 39% usage rate. Even if you cut that down a little bit to like the mid 30s, it's still just so much production across the board in a matchup with Minnesota where there's nobody that can defend him. They're going to struggle in transition against him. Karl-Anthony Towns isn't going to do anything at the basket to stop him. It's just another absolutely phenomenal spot for Giannis. Right now, I don't have him projected for 74. I only have him at like 70. But
only.
Yeah, but I think 70 will still get me plenty of Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to poo-poo the ownership right now, and I don't blame you, but he's under 1% on DK in our ownership projections.
Definitely not correct.
He's not going to be owned a lot.
I think he will. He just scored 81 points.
I mean, do you think it's over 10?
Well, I guess it depends what people do with Davis. Like him and Davis are the same price.
Right. We have Davis at like 24 or something like that. So I think that if you said 24% total between Giannis and AD, I could believe that. And however you get there is up in the air.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll gladly be overweight on both of them.
Yeah, Giannis at 2% on FanDuel. When I start trimming guys, like I got 33% Harrison Barnes. We project 0. I have 59% Kawhi. We project 20. Like I won't be that far over. And as I start trimming those ceilings, some will eventually trickle to Giannis. So if I'll probably end up in like the 6-7% range. I think I ended up with 8% 2 nights ago, which was right around the field. And I think that's where I want to be. I just want to keep pace. There are guys that I like more at a lesser salary on FanDuel.
Yeah.
And I prefer Davis to Giannis just in this spot, different positions, but I'll end up having him, but he's not a guy that I'm like going wild over. Although maybe I should because he's leading the league in rebounding.
Yeah, he's my comparison on the podcast last night was that it's almost to the point with him, I think, of Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant got hurt.
Yeah, but like with a good skill set.
Well, yeah. I'm saying like fantasy wise, like it's just kind of, do you want to pay for Giannis or do you want to not make money because Giannis scores 80 and you don't have him?
Brandon T in chat. Giannis guarded Taj Gibson almost exclusively in their last 2 matchups, 74% and 73%. So is he just like weak side help in that scenario? Brandon T, if you still have that up, did he have any blocks? I know I can pull that up, but if you're still looking at it, I'd love to know if he was doing like weak side rim protection and just not really paying much attention to Taj, which is what I would expect. I mean, if that's the case, and Giannis is going to guard Taj Gibson for 75% of the game, I like Karl-Anthony Towns way more than I did before.
I like Giannis more because I can just get a fresh Giannis running up and down the floor.
That's true. Middleton, Bledsoe.
I don't put that much stock in defensive matchups anyway.
I do when it's Brook Lopez or Giannis.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a difference, but like the game's just played so fast now, and
yeah,
it's, I don't know, it just doesn't move the needle for me too much. Outside of, I mostly factor it in with like fringe guys if I kind of realize someone's going to be in like a just absolute mismatch, then I'll bump that guy up. But for the guys like Giannis and like Towns and that are going to get theirs regardless of matchup, I don't do it that much.
I like it to confirm the directions that I'm already going.
Yeah.
So like if I get a lot of someone and this is all just numbers and I think, okay, the person that's guarding him is not great defensively, I'm happy.
For sure.
If it is a great defensive matchup, like, let's say that I wasn't getting all that much Middleton and, in this particular matchup, it's like, okay, Middleton and Butler, like I don't need to go out of my way to try to bump Middleton here. So I, kind of like a tiebreaker for me.
Yeah.
It's not something where I'm going to be like, oh, Karl Anthony Towns has insert good defensive center here. Can't go here at all.
Right.
That's never a thing to me. The rest of the Bucks, though, I'll have some Brogdon, 5,500 on FanDuel, 4,600 on DK.
Yep. Brogdon, Lopez, Ilyasova I think is interesting too because they can play a big front court here.
Yeah, 4K on FanDuel, 4,300 on DK. So Ilyasova I think is a really nice punt. Any Henson?
I might have a little bit just because there's certainly a path where he gets more minutes than usual. And he's productive when he plays.
Yeah. I'll have a little bit as well. 3,700 on FanDuel.
36 on DK.
And the reason 3,700 on FanDuel is so appealing because, not a lot down there, the bottom end of power forward. Moving on here. 2 games left.
Yep.
We're at an hour and 7. We're looking to hit that 90-minute mark. New Orleans Pelicans hosting the Brooklyn Nets. Pels 123 implied total. Nets 113.5. Anthony Davis, 13K on FanDuel, 11.6 on DraftKings. I'm going to have quite a bit of Anthony Davis. There's the hot take of all hot takes.
Yeah, me too. I have him projected for about 70 as well. So I really want lineups with him and Giannis. I want lineups with him and Paul. It's just such a great spot, against this Brooklyn front court for him. He's another guy that he's averaged since last season without Cousins on the floor. He's at about 1.6 DraftKings points per minute. So far this season, he's at 1.8. Monster usage, picks up assists, obviously gets rebounds. Really good spot against an inefficient shooting Brooklyn team that doesn't rebound well. There's really nothing for me not to like.
Completely agree. It's Anthony Davis and it's Brooklyn. That's really all that matters here. The next 2 guys are going to be tough for me to peg down. Drew Holiday, 7,800 on FanDuel. Way too cheap. 6,900 on DraftKings. The problem here, see what he's at on DraftKings. 37% ownership for Drew Holiday on DK. 29% on FanDuel. That's the 3rd highest number overall. What do you want to do with Drew Holiday tonight if he's chalky?
I think my roster construction will probably force me off of him. I don't have a problem with him, though. I think the price tag is way too cheap for the minutes he's going to play and for how much he contributes across the board. So if you're not going as stars and scrubby as I plan on, then he certainly would be one of the guys that is my favorite plays. But I just kind of assume that I end up not having much of him because in any Giannis plus Anthony Davis lineup, I'm just not going to have the money.
Makes total sense. I have Drew Holiday hitting my ownership cap 60% today. If we're projecting him at 29, like I'm okay with being there. But if like Chris Middleton's going to be 3% directly underneath him, I'll probably try to get a little bit more there.
If Payton's a lot lower owned, like that's a obvious pivot too.
Yeah. Elfrid Payton projected 22% ownership on FanDuel. I also hit my 60% ownership cap on Elfrid Payton. 7,400 on FanDuel, 6,700 on DraftKings. Again, he's a guy that's popping up a lot for me. And again, oddly enough, Eric Bledsoe, $200 more expensive at 5% ownership. I could see transitioning a little bit there. Similarly, same game, I could see giving a little bit more ownership to D'Angelo Russell at 7K. That's probably the extent of it of guys in that range. They are the best option. This game, I mean, the Pelicans are playing at a ridiculous pace. So I want all the guys that are going to be out there. They're going to play huge minutes.
Yeah, agreed. Randall and Mirotic are both perfectly fine as well.
Randall, I don't know what to do with.
Yeah, I have trouble projecting him and trusting him, but I still think the ceiling's there.
I completely agree with that. Mirotic is a guy that I won't have at all. I think
you don't think he's going to keep shooting like 75%?
It seems like he probably won't. It's just not for me. Let's see what I have him at here. This sorted by position does he play? Oh, small forward, of course he does. Yeah, like I got none of him on my first crunch, and his points per possession in my model is already higher than his actual on-court performance. So there's basically zero chance that I get to Mirotic here. And the Nets are, at least they used to be for all of last year, really good at limiting threes.
They're also really good at transition.
Weird team. Anything from the bottom end of the Pels, Eton Moore, Solomon Hill, stuff like that?
Probably not. I'll probably I think I have other guys that I like a little bit more.
Okay. To the Nets side, there's only one guy that's popping up really, really heavy for me. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. 6,800. Nope. Wrong price. 5,600 on FanDuel. 5,300 on DK. I guess let's start with minutes. What do you think he would play tonight?
I'm trying to pull up that last game now. Because that game blew out, so I think it's tough to. He played 21 in that game. I don't know, 26.
I have him at 28. Makes me think I'm a little high now.
So my concern would be they clearly had him on some kind of a schedule in that game because it was like a 20-point game and he still closed alongside Napier, Musa, Fareed, and Pinson. So they were clearly trying to get him 21, 22 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know if the next logical step is go play 28, go play 30, or if it's go play 24 or 26.
I get it. Yeah. Hopefully it's 26. If it's 26, I'm going to have a lot of them at 5,600.
Yeah, I'll probably project 26.
I feel like I don't have enough of the top end Nets. I don't get to any Russell. I don't get to LeVert. I don't get to Jared Allen.
Yeah, I mean, they're all just Russell and LeVert are just priced. LeVert's priced up a little bit because he's been so good. Russell's losing assists and usage to LeVert. So it's tough to really prioritize him. I do have interest in Jared Allen's my favorite net, but I don't think I'll end up with too much from Brooklyn.
Jared Allen. Let's see if I'm underweight on his. No, I'm fine with his projection. So yeah, he's just not going to be somebody that pops up. Again, I only have so much exposure to go around at center when I'm already lopping off 60% of it to Karl Anthony Towns. Anything else in Pels Nets?
Nope.
We didn't mention Joe Harris, and a lot of people were asking about Joe Harris in the chat. 4,400 in FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. I don't see him as playable on DraftKings. I think that you can make a case for it at 4,400 though on FanDuel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the minutes should be there still, probably around 30 though, but not around 35 like he was getting before when Hollis-Jefferson was out.
Right.
And actually, probably even less than 30. He was directly playing when Hollis-Jefferson was not on the floor in that Cleveland game. Hollis-Jefferson subbed in for Dudley. But when Hollis-Jefferson came off the floor at the end of the first quarter, Joe Harris went in for him. So he definitely picked up a few extra minutes for Hollis-Jefferson. It's hard to tell because Hollis-Jefferson kept subbing out the same time as Allen Crabbe.
Yeah. I have Harris at 28 minutes.
Yeah, that seems about right to me.
Kush in the chat says Ed Davis a lock, which yeah, that's good luck with that one. Look, I like Ed Davis. He is not a lock.
He's going to play like 17 minutes,
Yeah.
18. He's going to play whatever minutes Jared Allen doesn't play.
Yeah. Ed Davis is a really good NBA basketball player. He is not a guy that should be locked in any lineup unless you're playing, I don't know, Showdown for the Pels Brooklyn game tonight or something.
And going forward, there's even potential going forward that Davis plays less minutes because
Rondé Hollis Jefferson.
Hollis Jefferson. Yeah. Like Davis is only playing the 5, but last year we saw that they really liked playing Hollis Jefferson at the 5, and it was effective. So I'm definitely not on board with Ed Davis futures.
Same. Yeah, I'm shorting this. Kings and Wizards. Kings 116.5 implied total. Wiz 121. So we have the Kings up first. Willie Cauley-Stein 7,000 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DK. I'll have a little bit, because the people that will be opposite of Willie Cauley-Stein are not good. But I'm not super enthused about Willie Cauley-Stein. What about you?
Yeah, I really like the price on him because he's athletic enough to stay on the floor in this game, and he's going to be facing a bunch of small guys from Washington, whether it's Jason Smith, Jeff Green, whatever.
Or just bad guys like Yama and me.
Yeah, all the above. So I do like Cauley-Stein's price tag quite a bit.
Yeah, he is perpetually that price on DraftKings.
Yeah, he is.
Hard to avoid him. No interest in De'Aaron Fox for me on FanDuel. 8,000, just a bit too much. 6,800 on DK. Do you get there at all?
Maybe not with my roster construction too much, but he's certainly in the Drew Holiday pivot range. He absolutely has a ceiling here.
More expensive than Drew Holiday on FanDuel, FYI. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Craziness. Absolute craziness. All right, you ready? 5,500 on FanDuel, $5,200 on DraftKings. Tell me more about Marvin Bagley.
I still don't love him because the same issues we talked about before with Bielitsa, and because Cauley-Stein is athletic enough to play in this game. But Harry Giles didn't play in the second half at all of their last game, and so you got a few minutes at center from Bagley. And this matchup with Washington, with a small Washington team, he certainly can get minutes at the 5 if they're going to give him a run over Harry Giles. If they're willing to do that, which they showed that they were. It's certainly a spot where he can get it here against Washington. So, maybe the potential to play 26 instead of 22. And it's not a good defensive, team for Washington. So I think that he should be efficient whenever he's on the floor. So I have some interest in Bagley. Still won't have a ton, but I'm more interested in him today than I was last slate.
Now you're coming along.
And also, he probably won't be 20% owned today like he was last slate.
Yeah, I'll have a decent amount of Marvin Bagley. Surprise, surprise. My dude. No Buddy, no B-Gels, no Justin Jackson. I'm good on the rest of the Kings for tonight, unless you have anybody you want to talk about.
Buddy's a decent pivot off of Jabari Parker on DraftKings at the same price.
Does he have forward eligibility?
Yeah, he's shooting guard, small forward.
Of course he is. That's Buddy Hield for you. The old small forward Buddy Hield. I think he's 6'3". How tall is Buddy Hield?
Actually, I have no idea.
Buddy Hield, 6'4". Yeah, classically built, small forward. I can't deal with these positions anymore. Let's go to the Wiz and let's close this out. This one surprises me a lot, so I'm really interested in your take. John Wall, 9,600 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. I got 48% John Wall on my first crunch.
I almost guarantee I won't be there because of Chris Paul, but I don't have any problem with him. I mean, it's a good spot. It's a weak Sacramento defense. They're playing fast this year, and I mean, it's the highest total on the slate. So yeah, I like John Wall. It's just that I like Chris Paul a lot more at 9,200.
What's the relationship? Okay, so Wall is $700 cheaper on DraftKings. Wall $100 cheaper than Chris Paul on FanDuel. So you're definitely a team Chris Paul on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I will not have 48% John Wall, but I'm interested in why I got 48% John Wall. And I don't really know outside of the fact that the Kings are bad. We've got Curry at 99, Paul at 97, John Wall at 96. I don't really know how to hash that out, but I think if Wall's chalky, like we're projecting, we have him at 19% on FanDuel, which is tied with Chris Paul and the third highest number at point guard. I don't want to be over the field then. If John Wall was like 7% and no one was looking at him because of Chris Paul, I'd have a lot more interest in John Wall. But for now, it's while I'm getting him, I will not have him like that unless ownership moves.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bradley Beal, 8,300 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DraftKings. I'll have some. I'm rarely excited to have Bradley Beal, but I would rather have Bradley Beal than Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. I think the minutes are there. The matchup's nice. There's not really anything I don't think to dislike about Beal.
Cool. Otto Porter, 6,300 FanDuel, 5,800 on DK. Not someone that popped up at all for me. I don't generally get a lot of Otto Porter anyway.
Yeah, neither do I.
17% projected ownership. Also not a place that I'm looking to chase.
Agreed.
Keith, Oubre, the rest of the dudes that play in the front court.
Yeah, I like Keith a little bit. He should get more time at the 5. I like Jeff Green. He should also get time at the 5. He's only 3,900, comes off the bench, but should play plenty of minutes in a good spot. Jason Smith is 3,100. I have no confidence in him playing well, but if he does play well, I assume he'll get a few extra minutes. So I might sprinkle him in a little bit, but I'll certainly have more Jeff Green than Jason Smith.
Markieff Morris, Kelly Oubre, Austin Rivers, Jeff Green. All 4 of those guys are priced lower on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings. Crazy.
Yeah, that's
Markieff Morris, 5,500. I'm going to have a lot of him. I've had a lot of him regularly so far this season, particularly because of his price. He has 22% projected ownership. So if that holds, I'll be a little bit more muted. I'd be more likely to have Montrezl Harrell at less than half of the ownership. But those guys have to be in play because of their price points. Kelly Oubre at 4,000. You have to be able to pay attention to that.
Do we have news on Mahinmi yet?
Not that I've seen. I have him in right now, if that matters to you. Shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just if he's out, then it makes those guys even better.
Oh yeah, if Mahinmi is out, it's going to be really hard to avoid Morris, Oubre, Rivers, Green, Jason Smith.
Yep.
Like you'll need shares of that in some way. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Let's give our.
That was actually kind of quick.
Yeah, only in an hour and 23 minutes. We're getting there. We're skipping out on all the crap now.
Yeah.
We're slowly understanding where all the crap lies. So, let's give a couple favorite plays at each position, deeper dive style. You hit point guards for DK, I'll hit them for FanDuel.
All right. Chris Paul, Pat Bev, Payne.
For me, it's going to be John Wall, Kemba Walker, Elfrid Payton, Pat Bev. God, I can't say MCW out loud, but MCW. What?
I said you shouldn't.
Yeah, FanDuel's different, man.
Yeah, you can.
Although he's not priced well, so it's not like I'm going to be over. I had way too much of MCW 2 nights ago.
I don't think I had him in my player pool.
Yeah, I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't. Off the shooting guard, go.
Man.
Right.
The point guards that have shooting guard eligibility that I just named, Beverly and Payne, also Malcolm Brogdon. I like LaVine, I like Beal, I like Holiday. It's just that the way I'm constructing my lineups as of right now, I'll have trouble getting there. Nick Batum is too cheap.
There you go. For me, it's going to be Drew Holiday, Bradley Beal, Lou Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Danny Green, Malik Monk. Justin Holiday should get the time. I don't like him because he does absolutely nothing. That's probably it. Small forward.
Giannis, a lot of Giannis. Jabari, Gerald Green. Those will probably be my 3 highest owned.
Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Jabari, Melo, Harrison Barnes, as long as we know that he's going to play. Potentially Kelly Oubre, Gerald Green. Small forward loaded in. Well, loaded might not be the right word, but there are a lot of people you can play tonight at small forward. Jeff Green, power forward.
Anthony Davis, Jeff Green, Montrezl Harrell, Melo.
Anthony Davis, Marvin Bagley, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. I need to get myself a Bagley jersey stat. I'll just get the Duke one and it would look a lot better now. You can talk me into some Serge Ibaka, Ilyasova potentially. Not a lot to like at power forward on FanDuel tonight. Close it out. Centers.
Karl Anthony Towns, Capella, Colleen, Valanciunas, Brook Lopez.
Karl Anthony Towns. That's it. That's the list. Like and subscribe, everybody. Growing well. NBA strategy promo code 7-day free trial, and you can use Fantasy Cruncher using that trial now. So check it out if you're trying to MME. $37.50 to max enter the quarter tournament on FanDuel if you're interested in dipping your toe into the MME water. From A to B at 2:30, Andrew and Ben talking about last night's showdown slate and some NFL and college football for this weekend. The deeper dive, Adam and Laffy coming back to basically do this show again. Then live before lock, 6 to 7, Chris Baggs, Fast Eddie Fear, breaking down the games and taking you all the way up until lineups lock. Adam, you got anything else?
No, Laffy will have the deep dive article coming out sometime around 3, I think.
Yep. I will actually do slam dunks today, unlike yesterday. And I can go ahead and let you know now that you're probably going to see me talk about Karl Anthony Towns and Marvin Bagley. It won't be Marvin Bagley, but Towns, without question. I don't know. Probably some other goons that I shouldn't be playing. 51% Lou Williams in my first crunch on his 5% ownership. Stands to reason Lou Williams shows up in that article. Check it all out. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It's Friday, people. We made it to the weekend. Best of luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.